This is just a brief history of the Daughters of Jerusalem and Sisters of Mercy. The Daughters of Jerusalem and Sisters of Mercy Auxiliary was established by Prophet William S. Crowdy on June 26, 1898, approximately 2 years after he founded the Church of God and Saints of Christ. The Daughters Auxiliary embodies the religious principles and teachings of the church and executes them in the daily walk. We are the liaison between the church and the community. It is the Daughters of Jerusalem and Sisters of Mercy that from its earliest existence aided suffering humanity. In essence, we are the social service agency of the church, adhering to the needs of the people. When the auxiliary was first set up, the church had an officer here and there. The titles of these officers were not always the same. Very often, it was just the matter of an able woman being in the chair to carry through procedure, to report the work that had been done, and to show what work was still necessary. These daughters met at their first general meeting in Emporia, Kansas, June 26, 1898, and listened to the reports of what was going on in their several churches. Most of this work was humanitarian, such as visiting the sick and giving aid to the widows and orphans. Money to further this work was solicited from friends and the general public. Donations of food and clothing were also received. It should be noted that initially the father Abraham was called Abraham and mother Sarah was just Sarah. Before the adjournment of the meeting on June 26, 1898, the daughters had their first state officers. These officers were called grand, so that they were the first grand officers, even though they were over the state of Kansas only, because at that time, the church had not spread any further. There was mention of daughters who composed the ways and means and the charitable work. The Grand Auxiliary has a long history of being fragmentary and with existing vacancies from the very first. The Grand Auxiliary that finally became complete in time had a Western daughter holding office before any in the East had been set up, thus linking the East to the West. While there are many who have served under the Daughters of Jerusalem and Sisters of Mercy as grand or national officers, their history takes a turn due to the separation of the church body after the demise of the Prophet William S. Crowdy. Grand officers are appointed by the Chief Executive Officer of the Church of God and Saints of Christ, currently the Honorable Bishop Robert D. Grant Sr. They are chosen from all regions and represent the entire church, and their positions are usually permanent as long as they maintain sound doctrine and remain in good standing. In general, these officers are sanctioned by the CEO to do the following: to preside at Passover assembly and all general gatherings, to supervise and help the work of the local auxiliaries, at the direction of the CEO to perform their duties to carry out the work of the church. The following positions comprise the Daughters Quorum, and these members sit around the table at the annual General Assembly and any other official meeting of the quorum. The Grandfather Abraham, currently held by Evangelist at Large J. Ellis Millerton, Pastor Dayton, Ohio. Grandmother Sarah, currently held by Sister Elder Lenora E. Culler, Camden, New Jersey. Grand Rachel, currently held by Mother Sarah St. Carolyn J. Millerton, Dayton, Ohio. Grand Leah, currently held by Mother Sarah St. Erica Hendricks, Columbus, Ohio. Granddaughter Secretary, currently held by Sister Elder Marcia Grant, Cleveland, Ohio. Grand Corresponding Secretary, currently held by St. Della Yvonne Swain, Hyattsville, Maryland. The Grand Storehouse Mistress, currently held by St. Cassandra Banks, Newark, New Jersey. The Office of the Grand Bag Holder and Grand Sergeant of Arms is currently vacant. Please pray for us.